buzz cut. Wait. What? Hillary calls for restoring trust in politics. Clinton didn't disclose donations tied to uranium deal figure. Big speech today in Jeb's evangelical outreach. Rubio Israel amendment could kill Iran deal. She's a lowrider. Wait. What? Hillary calls for restoring trust in politics. Facing a scandal that threatens to capsize her quest to return to the White House, Hillary Clinton debuted her first major policy speech since the official launch of her current campaign. Clinton focused on a call to end mass incarceration in America and denounced racial injustice in the legal system, but her focus was on the question of trust, saying we must urgently rebuild the bonds of trust and respect among Americans. Restoring trust in our politics, our press, our markets. That's a pretty tall order for a woman who is now widely distrusted by the American electorate and facing accusations that she and her husband raked in part of their massive fortune through payola from people doing business with her State Department. Remember the last time Clinton spoke in so public a setting in New York, she was explaining that she had destroyed 31,000 emails from her time in office. It's quite a switch for Clinton to join President Obama and Senator Rand Paul, Archie, in anti-imprisonment crusade. Clinton has long heralded the tough-on-crime policies of her husband's administration, laws credited with helping to end the bloody drug turf wars of the 1990s but blamed for a booming black prison population. Under the Clinton administration, federal prosecutors stepped up drug prosecutions and today most federal inmates are behind bars for drug offenses. Facing pressure from her left and a skeptical black electorate, Clinton had no trouble making the reversal. Clinton swung hard on the subject and seemed to score, at least with reporters. One called her speech truly remarkable and another called it compelling. But how about the issue of moral authority? Clinton is no doubt right that Americans, and not just black Americans, have lost confidence in the basic institutions of the republic. What is unclear is how a woman who has been at the core of the bipartisan establishment for decades and is embroiled in what is only the latest corruption scandal of her long career can credibly claim the mantle of change. The candidate who is famous for shady dealing and intense secrecy doesn't sound like the one to make the pitch for reform. Clinton didn't disclose donations tied to uranium deal figure. Bloomberg, there are in fact 1,100 undisclosed donors to the Clinton Foundation, Frank Giestra says, most of them non-U.S. residents who donated to CGEP. All of the money that was raised by CGEP flowed through to the Clinton Foundation, every penny, and went to the charitable initiatives we identified, he says. The reason this is a politically explosive revelation is because the Clinton Foundation promised to disclose its donors as a condition of Hillary Clinton becoming Secretary of State. Shortly after Barack Obama was elected president in 2008, the Clinton Foundation signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Obama White House agreeing to reveal its contributors every year. The agreement stipulates that the Clinton-Giestra Sustainable Growth Initiative, as the charity was then known, is part of the Clinton Foundation and must follow the same protocols. It hasn't. Bubba to take donors on 9-day Africa junket. WAPO, a delegation of 20 major Clinton Foundation donors, many of whom have also supported Hillary Rodham Clinton's political campaigns, will accompany former President Bill Clinton on a 9-day foundation trip to Africa that starts Wednesday. The Africa trip would appear to provide a select group of big-dollar contributors the unique opportunity to travel abroad with the former president, spending days in his company. The Africa trip had already come under fire because it will conclude with a meeting of the Clinton Global Initiative in Morocco, an event being partially funded by a company owned by the Moroccan government. Obama's millennial clout doesn't transfer to Hillary, in an early indication that Hillary Clinton will not be able to replicate the success President Obama had with millennial voters. A poll out today from Harvard's Institute of Politics says that generic Democratic candidate leads a generic Republican candidate by 15 points among millennial voters. That sounds big until you compare it to history. President Obama carried voters ages 18 to 29 by 23 points in 2012, and an astonishing 34 points in 2008. The 2016 forecast looks much more like 2004 when then-Democratic nominee John Kerry beat then-President George W. Bush in the demographic by 9 points. O'Malley's crime crackdown as mayor draws heat on riot tour. WAPO. Former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley was heckled on a packed street corner in West Baltimore Tuesday, after he cut short a trip to Europe to return to the city he led as mayor for 7 years. O'Malley, D., who is preparing to launch a White House bid, waded into a crowd near the burned-out shell of a CVS pharmacy that was destroyed and looted Monday night. He was confronted by 2 men on motorcycles who shouted expletives and blamed the recent violence in the city on O'Malley's tough-on-crime policies from 1999 to 2007. In his travels to early nominating states, O'Malley has trumpeted progress made during his tenure, including a steep drop in violent crime, which is attributed in part to a zero-tolerance approach that led to a sharp increase in arrests. Bird on a Wire, NYT describes O'Malley's walking tour of an angry Baltimore in his defense of his tough-on-crime policies in a city that long reigned as the murder capital of America. Pow. Kevin Williamson writes, Black urban communities face institutional failure across the board every day. There are people who should be made to answer for that. What has Martin O'Malley to say for himself? What can Ed Rendell say for himself other than that he secured a great deal of investment for the richest square mile in Philadelphia? What has Nancy Pelosi done about the radical racial divide in San Francisco? Enter Sandman. Senator Bernie Sanders, IVT, will announce Thursday he's challenging Hillary Clinton for the Democratic nomination, the National Journal reports. A senior Sanders advisor confirmed he's made a decision on 2016, and that he's going to go for it, though the latest polls show him in single digits. Some more liberal Democrats hope that Sanders' run could get Clinton talking about more liberal policies. With your second cup of coffee, the long, cold winter covered much of Lake Michigan with sheets of ice, but now that the ice has retreated, the water is remarkably clear. The cold held back seasonal algae blooms that make the water murky in warmer weather. As a result, the many shipwrecks that dot the floor of the second largest of the Great Lakes are visible through the blue waters. NPR reports, photos from the flight out of the Coast Guard's Traverse City, Michigan, air station show a variety of ships resting on the lake bottom, including the James McBride, a 121-foot brig that sank in 1857. An estimated 6,000 vessels were lost on the Great Lakes, with approximately 1,500 of these ships located in Michigan waters, according to the State Department of Environmental Quality, which calls the wrecks irreplaceable records of our cultural history.